Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope all is well. Wish for my wonderful guest to arrive on Instagram Live. Hope she's there. Bum 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 bum. Big shout out to our belly wine. Yes. Waiting for my wonderful guest, Winter Patterson, to join on the Spotlight with Roger Maloney on UFRONT Media. Winter, I tagged you to come on live. Hope you can see me. Hope everybody's weekend was great. What's coming up for me? What's coming up is the African American Women in Cinema Film Festival. I'm doing the education series on Friday. It's going to be a Zoom event. And waiting for my guest, Winter.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. First of all, let's get this out the way. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yep, I'm still celebrating.
I know you're still celebrating. That's why I said happy birthday. It's going to be a celebration.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, my birthday was Wednesday.
And how was
it?
How was it? How you feel?
You know what? I partied from Wednesday until last night. And so today is about after you, right? After you, this is about detox and reset. So that's what this is.
You know what? That's so wonderful. For those joining, let's give a round of applause to Miss Winter Patterson. She's here. Just celebrated her birthday, and you know, any day that we get a chance to celebrate your birthday and to life is a great day.
Yes, indeed.
Well, I want to say, first of all, say congratulations to you because me and my wife had an opportunity to sit and watch Ready for Love season 3, and one of the things I have to say about your role in it, you brought class and style to that show, to what you did versus everything else that was going on. The way you handled yourself was very key. Could you just share a little bit about the lessons you learned from being on that show? Because people think that they go on shows, but there's a lot of lessons that you could learn from being on a show like that.
Oh, absolutely. Shout out. I had a couple of my cast members that are here on with us. I think I saw Chef Shay in here and somebody else. I love you guys. Thank you. And to the fans, thank you for the birthday wishes. So yes, I learned a lot about myself. I went through a situation. Well, first of all, I had to, be willing to be completely vulnerable. And really decide every day that I wasn't going to put up a wall, that I was going to allow myself to feel, and I was going to be transparent with the people around me and the audience about what I was feeling. And so that took something every day. But I also learned from me, that self-love was a continuous process, that there were some days where I had to work a little harder to feel good. There were some situations that I didn't like where maybe I didn't come out, as favorably as I wanted to. And I had to remind myself of my value and, and the self-love that I've been teaching people for many, many years. I had to take that medicine and give it to myself. But I'm really proud of, the way that I was able to be vulnerable, to be authentic. And I'm even happy about the experiences, even the ones that didn't turn out perfectly. Like, I'm thankful for them and I've learned a lot.
Wow. And that's good. That's always good to get that perspective, especially coming from a nationally syndicated show like that on a big like OWN. One thing to ask you about, tell me about your assistant author, and you wrote 2 books as well.
I have. I have. So my books, follow kind of, the same thing that I've been talking about. My brand, which is women's empowerment. I live to give women the tools and resources and words that they need in order to live their absolute best life. I live to, share knowledge on pain, overcoming pain, on, goal setting, on living a life that brings honor to God. And so my books are about that. I give, words of encouragement. I help people to realize that our value doesn't change, despite what we've been through. Despite the people who didn't see our value, like that doesn't change who you are or who God says that you are. And so that is, the main point of every book that I put out, including the one that I'm working on now. So
Nice.
thank you so much for asking me that.
And also, I want to ask you, not only did you create your own, you put out 2 books, correct?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Third, you have your own publishing company. Talk about having a book out on your own publishing company. How important is that?
For me, it was like I worked so hard on my book, and I thank God it was good enough that I was approached by a publisher to do it, but they wanted to take 60%
Wow.
of my proceeds. And I said, how can I want to retain, the money. I want to use this, philanthropically.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to own the rights to everything that I do. So I did the research on how I could create a publishing company and do this myself. And as a result, I'm able to teach other authors the ins and out of both traditional publishing versus self-publishing. And I got to keep all my money. So, hey,
let's say that.
It's a win.
Keep all your money. Hashtag, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody just hashtag that right now. Keep all your money.
Right. Listen, what is it? Nipsey Hussle say, all money in?
You guys right?
All money in.
Now, how did you, now a lot of people are probably, especially publishing, how did you resist the temptation? Because a lot of people won't be able to resist that temptation when they're throwing cash at you to publish your book and all that stuff. What was the internal conversation you had with yourself?
I think, it was just that, like, I had a company that would have given me possibly a bigger platform. But I said, I can retain the money and I can do the same thing. Like it's going to cause me to work harder. It's going to cause me to have to knock on some doors and possibly, get rejection. But it's going to allow me to really master my own product, keep my product. And then, like I said, now I'm able to teach people the process because I went through it, like from start to finish.
Wow. Now, you are also, one thing I also noticed about you, you're award-winning VP at JP Morgan Chase. Talk about some lessons you learned from working at JP Morgan Chase that has helped you in your career and in your life.
Chase was it was a beautiful experience. I got a chance to manage some of the most affluent branches in Houston. So I got to learn money on a different level, investing on a different level. I got a chance to manage some very high performing individuals, which actually was such a blessing because it made me learn how to deal with people. When you're managing these people from all different backgrounds and all different things going on at home, you have to hone your approach, how you're talking, how you're communicating. And that translates to relationships, jobs, presentation. So I got a lot of really, really great skills from doing that for many years.
Now, because a lot of people, they're probably on here, they either work at full-time jobs and stuff like, and they're trying to figure out how can they use the skills at their current job to go into something that they want to do. Because sometimes, like, I knew that if you was working at JP Morgan Chase, you're probably saying to yourself, well, how is this going to help me in the long term besides the finance and the money management? And it seems, based upon what you said, that you can learn at every step of the way, depending where you work and where you want to go.
Absolutely. I think you should be very conscious of every experience because, listen, what I tell people is that every experience builds on the next. It's a stair step. So from JP Morgan, I went on to do consulting with the Division of the Small Business Administration of the government. So I became a consultant to very, very large businesses and corporations, but that started from the skills I got from Chase, right? After becoming a consultant with the SBA, now I'm a consultant on my own.
Wow.
So, you see these stair steps where you're continually going higher if you are taking the knowledge that you're getting from each step and applying it to the next. So for those of you who feel like I'm not getting anything, I'm stuck here, I would just be conscious of everything that you're learning and understand that when that next opportunity comes, it's usually going to build off of where you are. God is, just awesome like that.
He is. And speaking of God, you also created Winter Patterson Ministries, and you have I Pearl. Talk to us about what inspired you to create your own ministries and the non.
For me, it's all about how can I help people? How can I, how can I create content, opportunities, events that are going to heal women, that are going to help people realize their value? It's so, I really can't stress it enough. We hit these snags in life, both men and women, right? We go through a bad relationship or losing a job or grief or losing a family member, and we deal with childhood trauma. And we sometimes forget who we are. And so my ministry, my purpose is to remind us of our value and remind us who God says that we are, and that nothing is impossible, that nothing that you've done diminishes your value. And so that's where the whole ministry part comes in. I needed a opportunity, a name for my business that really, talked about who I am and what I do, which is ministry. And that is, sharing the love and kindness of God to anyone who's willing to listen.
I like the name I Am Pearl, because to form a pearl, you got to go through a lot of pressure before you become a pearl. And I thought that stood out to me as part of your whole history and your life experiences. Talk about the 5 arms of your ministry. I think that's important for people to know about.
I still do that, but I'm really more like, I've kind of switched my branding. If you haven't, you might have noticed, it's more self-love now. So it started with the metaphor of the pearl and understanding that we, like you said, our formation is like a pearl. We sometimes go through darkness like a pearl. We come out of uncomfortable situations like a pearl. We come handcrafted from God himself like a pearl. Like that was the metaphor that I was explaining, that nothing diminishes your value no matter what you came from. And now I'm teaching the same thing, but I'm teaching it more along the lines of self-love, because I feel like self-love covers all of that, right? That means I'm loving myself from my past, present, and my future. I'm loving my mistakes. And as I love myself, because God is in me, I am actually loving God and honoring God by taking care of myself, by speaking life over myself. I am giving God honor by taking time to, self-reflect and meditate and do all of those things that help us to become better women.
Those are
and men.
Right, because fellas, I think what I've noticed, especially with my wife forms, she has her circle of, I like to call it like her Amazon Wonder Woman groups. She got groups for everything, and sometimes us as guys, we don't do that enough in terms of like literally, my wife will have a situation come up, her girlfriends will call, and they have this power session.
Yes.
And I sit back there and I go, oh snap, this is serious. Sometimes guys, we don't have that ability to say, hey, listen, I'm having trouble, or reach out to other guys. Sometimes we just feel that we get embarrassed and something a lot of those times. What advice do you have for the guys that can help them be better based upon the advice you just gave that you do for women?
It really is the same. I feel like what I'm telling you, what I'm speaking is for everybody. I speak to the world. My specific target though is women, because I feel like that's who my heart pulls more to. But that message is the same, that men, you too should understand that nothing in your past changes your value. Even the people who didn't see your value, whether it was your mother or your father or a woman that you gave your heart to, nothing changes your value. You are absolutely, as the Bible says, fearfully and wonderfully made. And, we are everything that God wanted us to be. There are no flaws. We are miracles. Like, I could go into the whole metaphor of the pearl and unpack it. But the main thing is really just understanding that nothing that you've been through changes your value. I don't care how ugly it was. I don't care who turned their back on you. I don't care who didn't speak life into you. I don't care how many times you've, failed. You are still valuable, and nothing changes that.
That's good. You also competed, and did you win the Miss Texas pageant as well?
Yeah.
Talk about how that experience, what lessons you learned from going through that, because pageant life is rough, especially people judging you on based upon different things. What lessons did you get from that experience?
I think, pageants taught me, and it was fun. Pageants do prepare you for real life, because you do have to, you're being judged. Okay. Okay. Like, that's a fact of life. You do have to learn interview skills and public speaking skills. So there are some very good things, but for me, pageants, it was great. A couple big things I took from that. Number one was, I wanted to be more than a pretty face. Like, there were some girls there who were pageant girls who there just wasn't a whole lot of substance behind the smile.
Wow.
I knew that God had put too much in me to just be a pretty face. So that was a big one. The second thing was, I had the opportunity, two pageants were at the same time. They had the regular Miss Texas, and then they had the Miss Black Texas. And they were at the same time, so I couldn't do both.
Right.
And while I am everybody knows I'm like super pro-Black. I even got the African American flag on my ear. I'm like,
oh,
huh?
Okay, let's keep it real. Let's go. Okay, got it.
Like, I'm super pro-Black, super pro-Black. But when it came down to, choosing between the Miss Black Texas and Miss Texas, I said, I'm not I'm good enough for mainstream. Like, I'm good enough to compete with people. Like, I don't have to have my own segment to, be here. And nothing wrong with that. But when it came down to it, I wanted to not limit myself. Yeah. Like, even if I failed, like, let me compete against who the world thinks is the best. And thank God it was successful for me.
That's great stuff. And not only did you do that, talk about your experience studying theology at Princeton, and you also did some stuff at Oxford as well. Talk about that experience, because I visited Oxford, and to go through their seminary school is no joke.
Oh my goodness. Listen, it was intense. Oxford was a great experience. I had to, go live in Oxford, England for a little while. And I learned a lot. It's very, very high level, curriculum. And I learned a lot. And then after that, I was presented with the opportunity to go to Princeton and get a certificate of theology. I didn't want to go for another degree because I'd already completed my master's. That's already 8 years of my life. I was like, I'll do a year and a half, and that's about it. Like, I'm tired of school. But even with that, Princeton was a beautiful experience because Princeton challenges your beliefs. Like, if you're not solid in who you are and who you believe God to be, you will leave out of Princeton like, okay, who am I and what do I believe? Wow. But if you are solid, you'll come out a very well-rounded person who understands God and ministry. And I'll tell you something that I haven't told anyone or I haven't said publicly. I think Princeton was what helped me to move away from the very limiting beliefs of the church to more outreach and preaching on a much bigger platform to people who don't believe necessarily the same thing that I do.
Right. And especially corporate America does that for you as well, because you run into all different types of individuals while you're working in corporate America. And if your foundation is not strong, and if you don't know, for example, like in corporate America, there's always liquid lunches. You got to know how to handle yourself in those liquid lunches because it's always a test. Every unseen test. And I think when I saw that, I was like, just a call to ministry and how you balance that and use that as a foundation for everything that you're doing now. And I think the sky's the limit for you, because not only are you encouraging people, one, two, you're also mentoring people, and for the second point as well. So you have the best of both worlds, and I think that's a great thing, and to see that, especially in this fast digital, quick reality type events, because a lot of people crash and burn, and then they end up on these review shows like, whatever happened to so and so. But it's true. You've seen them, and you get to see, based upon me talking to you now, that it's always good to have some sort of spiritual foundation, especially if you're getting into the entertainment business.
Oh my goodness, yes. Listen, I could write about a book on that alone. Just, and don't get me wrong, shout out to OWN Network, Will Packer Productions.
Yeah.
They really are a first-class company. But still, having cameras in front of your face all the time, having people that are interpreting your character and your words and, misinterpreting you, and, that you have to have some type of mental fortitude just to deal with that alone.
Right.
And if you are not spiritually grounded, it could really hurt you. It could really, it could be damaging.
So, my last question, because I know you got to go. What advice do you have for people who are single, and based upon your experience on Ready to Love and your personal life experiences and everything that you've encompassed, what do people need to do to, one, find love within themselves?
I think, the first thing is understanding this. As I mentioned earlier, as God is in me, as I love myself, I love God, I honor God, right? Number one. Number two, self-love is more than just a great spa day or, eating some green vegetables. Self-love is self-reflection. It is looking at the ugly sides of who you are and making adjustments so that you bring honor to God in the best way that you possibly can. It is, taking a look at your past, accepting it, and understanding that it doesn't change who you are. It doesn't change the trajectory of your life. And so, yeah, self-love is such a broad thing. It requires you to make a conscious effort to honor God in everything that you do and honor yourself in the process.
That's good stuff. For those of you who thought we was going to talk about Ready for Love and the scandals, nope. We're talking about empowering people. We're talking about building business strategies. We're talking about creating a vision board for yourself. We're talking about creating your own book and your publishing company. Winter, I first of all, thank you so much for coming on. This has been super, super dope.
Yes. No, thank you. This is my type of interview. We talked when we were preparing for this, and for me, media needs to be meaningful. Like, I'll talk about, what happened on the show, and, we could even, lightly touch on some tea. But for me, it's like, how can I empower people? I don't want to tear anybody down. I don't want to talk about somebody's mindset that you don't understand. That's not me.
Right. And this is why I'm going to give everybody a little behind the scenes. Winter was like, Roger, send me the questions. And based upon the questions, we're going to rock and roll with this interview. I sent her the questions. She was like, okay, I'm ready to rock.
Yes.
I'm ready to rock.
Yes.
And I thought that was excellent. Congratulations to you. Wish you nothing but success. Let everybody know your social media handles, how they can get in contact with you, because you're always doing events and people might want to come and be a part of what you're doing.
Yeah, so if you are not following me on Instagram, that's at Winter Patterson, Winter with the Y, WYNTER Patterson. I have my website, winterpatterson.net, and I have a special announcement that I just made today. I'm starting a mastermind group. So if you want to be included in that, you can text winter to 66866. And I'll send you that information as it is unfolding. I want to take a very, very small group of women and walk them through some very healthy practices and things that are going to help them get to where they want to be in with self and with business. So I'm super excited about that. That's text winter, my name, WYNTER, to 66866. So hopefully I will hear from you guys. I do want to, again, I have to say this, Roger, if you don't mind. I am so thankful for you all. The love, the comments, the outpouring of love is just beautifully overwhelming at times. And I don't take anything for granted. I read the comments. And I'm so thankful for you. Thank you so much for just being a blessing to my life. So thank you. Thank you.
Say your information one more time. There's people in the comments that says they want to get your information. Well, one lady was like, "Oh, please repeat that."
There it is. Yeah, somebody just typed it. Thank you, Kimber. 66866. Text winter, WYNTER, to 66866. You will get an email within about 48 hours, and you'll have the opportunity to be a part of this group. I'm going to take you with me for, I think we came up with 5 months. Once a month, we'll be together, direct, up close and personal, virtually, of course, because I know y'all are all over the place. But I'm going to really sew into some women, just a very, very small group. So if it gets overwhelming, I'll make a couple of groups, but it's a small group right now that I want to work with.
That's amazing. Winter, thank you for trusting me to do this interview. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Are you?
And will you be doing any other? Do you have any other TV show opportunities that you're working on for yourself personally, or is anything coming up, or are you just going to focus on just doing the mentoring platform for women?
I have Wine with Winter on YouTube that's going to start again this Wednesday. So Wednesday nights on Miko TV, you could just go on YouTube and type Wine with Winter. And I'll be on there interviewing some of my castmates, some of the celebrities that are passing through Houston. And I can't wait for you to meet these people and get, as I say, inspiration over wine.
So. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I have so much love for you. You're the best, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Winter, bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.